Good morning, second graders. I need to tell you that the teachers are enjoying so much reading your narratives. We can't get enough of them. We just enjoy so much reading about things that have happened to you. Today, we are going to focus on writing with detail, magnifying a small moment that has happened to you. Today, I want to start by taking a close observation of the shell you see. What do you see? What do you notice? How do you think this shell feels? What colors do you see? What do you think it smells like? Take 30 seconds to think about it. So let's see, what do we notice? Let's zoom in on this shell and describe it. I notice it has the colors of a rainbow. I think it probably smells fresh and salty. The surface seems smooth and soft. If I touch on it, I think it'd be hard. It seems to be hard. I also notice that it has colorful lines and it shines like silver and gold. Do you see those colors? I was very descriptive when I zoomed in on my shell. Writers, that kind of seeing, paying attention, is at the heart of living a writer's life. Today, I want to teach you that when writers want to zoom in on a small moment to capture it so that readers see it as they do, they magnify it by writing with lots of details. What do I mean by writing with lots of details? Writers give many details about the setting, where the story takes place. Writers use strong action words to show what the character is doing. Instead of saying running, I could say leap, sprung, raced, or bolted. I can also include dialogue to show what the character says. Let me show you what I mean. As I read, pay attention to the details Jane Yulin includes to describe this moment. We go back to the same story I've been modeling, Owl Moon. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. So he's referring to the stars, to the sky as a map. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, "Woo, woo, woo," and the sound of a great horned owl. Woo, woo, woo. Wow, I have goosebumps. The way Jane has written that page, it's as if she held a magnifying glass, just like we did with the shell. She could just have written, "We reached the trees," and Pa made an owl nose, but that sounds very boring. Do you agree with me? And that wouldn't have had nearly the same effect. So instead, she stretched out this moment with lots of tiny details that allows us to see the scene just as she imagined it. The first thing I noticed is how Jane describes the pine trees as black and pointy against the sky. That means they're probably very, very tall. It's like I'm seeing those trees through a magnifying glass, so tall they touch the sky. Today we're going to learn how to focus on details and our five senses. The topic of my story today is going to be my surprise party. And before I start writing my story, I need to go back and think about my senses. What did I see? That day, the day I had a surprise party, I saw a spotted cake, I saw bright flowers, and I saw students. What did I smell? I felt I smelled something fresh, delicious, and sweet. Can you imagine what it was? What did I hear? I heard singing. What did I touch? I touched something soft. And what did I taste? I tasted something chewy and sweet, which was my cake. Did you see how I used my senses to tell you what I saw, what I smelled, what I heard, what I touched, and how it tasted? Now I am ready to write my story with all my senses, and my story is going to be about my surprise party. As always, remember to add a title. The title of my story is My Surprise Party. I hope you like it. I was very excited when I woke up. It was my birthday, and I couldn't wait to get to school to receive hugs from my students. When my students came in, no one said anything, and I felt a little bit sad. See, I include feelings. It seemed everyone forgot about this special day. I told my friends, and I quote myself, I think my students forgot it's my birthday. I just kept on teaching as usual, and no one said anything. I was in a meeting, and once I finished, I went back to my classroom. And as soon as I opened the door, all my students screamed very loudly, Surprise, Miss Yanina! I turned to my table and I saw a large spotted cake that looked like the skin of a giraffe, my favorite animal. The cake smelled fresh and delicious. I used my first sense, smell, and mentioned how did it smell? Fresh and delicious. They sang happy birthday in a nice angelical voice. This is what I heard. I started crying of excitement. We then cut the cake. It tasted like heaven. You guys have no idea how good it was. It was so sweet and chewy. Now I'm letting you know what it tasted like. It melted in my mouth. I also received a beautiful flower bouquet as a present. The sunflowers were soft and bright. That means when I touched them, they felt soft. And when I saw them, they were bright as the sun, and they had a sweet smell that reminded me of nectar. I used many senses in my story. I told you what I smelled. I told you what I heard. I told you how my cake tasted, how the flowers felt, and what I saw when I saw the flowers. I could not have been any happier. I hugged all my students and thanked them for this beautiful celebration. My heart was filled with love, and it will be a day I will never forget. I told my students, and I quote myself again, this is the happiest day of my life, and you just made it so special for me. Can you see my spotted cake? Did I describe it well? Do you agree that it might have been very chewy and delicious and it felt that it melted in my mouth? Now it's your turn to try it. Today, writers, you are going to zoom in on a small moment in the story you write. You're going to magnify it with details so that your readers can live it with all their senses. Pay attention to every detail so that the readers feel like they were there too. Use dialogue and remember to use your senses to write. Tell us, what did you see? What did you hear? What did it feel like? What did you smell? And how did it taste? Remember that when you're magnifying a small moment, You add a setting. You tell us where it takes place. You add strong action words. Imagine you're acting it out. Use dialogue. And always remember to include your feelings. We learned about this last week. This chart is a sense chart. It will help you use strong words when you want to describe how something tastes, what something feels like, how it looks, how it smells, and how it sounds. If I wanted to say how something tasted, let's go back to my cake. I could say my cake tasted sweet, sour, bitter, crunchy, salty, chewy, dry, juicy, hot, freezy, and delicious. I would definitely say that my cake tasted sweet, chewy, and it was delicious. When I touched the flowers, what words did I use? I said the flowers were soft. You also have words to describe how something looks like. Words that you can use, such as dark, shiny, long, skinny, fat, thin, small, large, light, bright, and dotted. You will find multiple words here that will help you with your writing. When it's your turn to write and you are ready to get started, you will get a sense chart just like the one I had at the beginning of your story. Remember to use your hand first to write what happened at the beginning, what happened in the middle of your story, what happened in the end of the story, and then try to think, what did I see? And write it on the chart. What did it smell like? What did it feel like? What did it taste like? What did I hear? Once you finish putting that chart together, grab a piece of paper and start writing about a small moment, including your senses. Remember, you can use as many papers as you need.